Well, ladies and gentlemen, the IPL just got over, and we still are not over the brilliant, the cash-rich tournament. And we're gonna have so many more discussions on that. And for that, I have our cricket expert, our cricket analyst, somebody who witnessed that event straight in the UAE. I've got him here with us. Deep Dasgupta is here. He's going to throw so much more light on that. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you, sir?
Very good, Adarsh. How are you?
All good, all good. Fantastic. Still not over the IPL, like I said before.
Yeah, same here. Same here. It's taking a while because this was a special one. This was a really, really special IPL.
We never thought it was going to happen now, did we? मतलब every time even you and I had a conversation off air, हम यही बोल रहे थे कि यार इस साल नहीं हो सकता है mostly. But then out of nowhere things worked out. It just did.
And it was a special, like I said, it was always going to be difficult under these current situation that we have around the world. But then, superhuman effort, absolutely superhuman effort from everyone involved, not just to make it happen, but make it happen as successfully as it has. We did not miss anything. We did not miss the crowd. There were no, untold incidents as such. Not that any of the players were infected or anyone who was directly involved was infected. So I think, for me, it was extremely, extremely special for me.
Absolutely, or even like up until the last moment, we didn't know if it was going to happen because Chennai के कुछ members were tested positive even after they landed there. क्योंकि जब यहाँ से लगा कि they've all reached there, now it's going to happen, now it's the thumbs up. वहाँ पे भी जाके एक दिक्कत हो गया था, but the way it smoothly functioned, the way it entertained all of us was absolutely
That's
magnificent.
true. That says a lot about people who were involved. I think everyone, starting from a player to the cook, there were 15 bubbles that were created for different players and commentators and crew and everything else, and brilliant.
Absolutely sensational to look out. We have so many things that we can discuss, but I think we need to start off with the local talent. You
Yeah.
and I also had a conversation a couple of days ago about this. कि इस साल so many consistent performance from so many various different teams from the Indian youngsters. As a cricket expert, as a lover of the game, आपको कैसे लगा when so much budding talent is there?
Obviously great because for as far as I'm concerned, merely IPL is about youngsters. It's about a platform which is created for the youngsters to show off their talent and shine through and show the world what they have. So for me, IPL has always been this platform for the uncapped. So from that perspective, definitely yes. I think was extremely extremely happy. Every team, as you mentioned, starting, let's say, my favorite was obviously Padikkal, the way he batted. You have Ruturaj Gaikwad after that. Then you have someone like Tevatia. Very very impressed with Tevatia.
Exactly.
Bishnoi, uh, Arshdeep, uh, Natarajan. Some fabulous performances. Every team, like you said, had Surya. Obviously, we knew what Surya can offer, but Ishan Kishan. He's obviously was a very talented guy, but this year was a breakthrough year for him.
Absolutely, it was. And let's quickly discuss, deep dive and discuss each of these individual cricketers. And like you started off, I would also like to start off with Devdutt Padikkal. Bangalore, कहीं ना कहीं they were always विराट कोहली एक सीजन में ओपनिंग कर रहे थे, लेकिन उसके बाद वाले सीजन में और उसके पहले वाले सीजन्स में भी they kind of struggled for that opening combination. One
Yeah.
player they did struggle, but this time around the combination of Aaron Finch and Devdutt Padikkal looked very solid, didn't it?
It was unfortunately wasn't a great year for Finch, but Devdutt Padikkal again breakthrough year for him. What I really liked is obviously not, uh, obviously the number of runs that he scored, but also the way he scored. How comfortable he was playing against Rabada and Jofra Archer and Bumrah. We are talking about the best bowlers in the world, whether it is
Right.
Rashid. I remember the game against SRH. You could see that he was taking those singles down the ground, long on, long off. That's the most difficult thing to do. Easiest thing to do is play the slog sweep. Agar
Exactly. I
pata
think that was the first game that Devdutt Padikkal played. It was his
yeah,
debut.
yeah. So and the way he played Rashid, you could figure out कि यार इसको पता है कौन सा googly है, कौन सा leg spin, and
Exactly.
the comfort with which he batted was phenomenal.
एब्सोल्युटली। और आगे बात करेंगे ऋतुराज गायकवाड़ के बारे में, बिकॉज आई थिंक ही नीड्स अ स्पेशल मेंशन।
Yeah.
बंदे को कोविड हो गया था। ही वाज क्वारंटीन्ड फॉर अ वीक लॉन्गर देन एनीबडी एल्स वुड हैव यूजुअली ओवर द कोविड क्वारंटीन पीरियड। उसके बाद ही डिडंट हैव अ ग्रेट स्टार्ट। पहले मैच उसको मौका मिल रहा है टू कम एंड प्ले, आगे आके खेलते हैं, बाहर आके खेलते हैं, आउट हो जाते हैं। एंड द नेक्स्ट कपल ऑफ फ्लॉप्स। उसके बाद द लास्ट 3 गेम्स जो कॉन्फिडेंस के साथ उन्होंने बल्लेबाजी करी है, the way he was there in the middle, calm and composed. What did you make of, what difference between the start of the tournament for Gaikwad and the end?
See, start with the opportunities that he got. I remember the opportunity. The first opportunity he got was because everyone else, every other batsman was kind of injured or something happened, and he had to bat at number four. He's not a number four batsman. He's an
Right,
opener, and the
right.
first few games he batted at number four, which is not his position. So the moment he got back his position as an opener, he scored runs. And again, the comfort level, the shot selection, जो वो shot मार रहा था, was so orthodox copybook, but he was scoring briskly as well. Spin ke against, strike rotate karna. So I think all these things, I mean, that's how I look at it. How I look at it is whether they have the temperament to play at this level. I wouldn't say this is international, but this would be just below international.
Right.
Where they have the game, where they have the temperament. And I think players like Padikal and Ruturaj obviously have shown that they have the temperament, obviously the game, but also the temperament.
And speaking of Ruturaj and Chennai's performances, because of which he had to make a quick comeback into the team for the last 3 games. Chennai के बारे में अगर बात करेंगे तो a very disappointing performance for us fans. लेकिन when you look at the technicalities of how
Yeah.
they performed, आपको क्या लगता है कि कहाँ गलती हो गई उनसे? What was the one thing that went wrong for Chennai?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Chennai would be the fact that यार वो जो टीम बनाते हैं, जो CSK टीम है, that is meant for keeping in mind that 7 games are going to be at home at Chepauk, where the ball
Right,
will turn. It will be a 150 game due and everything else. So the team अगर आप देखें तो बना ही उस तरीके से है कि 7 home मैचेस होंगे, उसके अलावा भी there are 1 or 2 other games which like Delhi में,
right,
Hyderabad pitches can again be a 150 pitch. So I think change of venue was a bigger one of the biggest things, and obviously Suresh not being there, Baji not being there, initial injuries as well. So everything put together, I think they just put them in a spot. And also, I how I see it is this is a transition period for CSK. A
right,
lot of the senior players are over the hill. They'll be retiring, and then the new lot will come in. So this
right.
could also be seen as a transition period. And the last 3-4 games actually tells you that what, that team is not that bad. They've got the basics going there again.
Right, like you said, the last 3 or 4 games that CSK played, the 3 games that they won on the trot,
Yeah,
they were not high-scoring games. They were
yeah,
the wickets also were very similar to what it would have been in Chepauk.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think that was the condition that they had as a prerequisite when they were going into that auction to purchase players. But we never know. Coming back to India, maybe next year we can see Chennai even
Yeah,
lifting the trophy again,
won't be
because Dhoni
surprised.
doesn't like to lose.
Yeah, won't be surprised. Won't be surprised. And see, the thing is, the next IPL is not 1 year from now. The next IPL is
Right,
5 months from now.
right.
So, yeah. So over 5 months, also, I mean, you could see most of the same faces again next IPL.
Right. And speaking of youngsters, let's get back to that. The other one, the next one on my list is Ishan Kishan. You obviously mentioned how talented he was, but
Yeah.
he was not a part of the first playing 11. He was not a first choice number 4, number 5 batsman for Mumbai. It was Saurabh Tiwari there who played at number 3. Lekin team mein वापसी करना
No,
because of
actually not. You know what happened was first 2 games, Ishan was the first 11 choice, but Ishan was injured.
right.
So
Okay.
so it was the other way around. So Saurabh played
Oh,
because
right.
Ishan
Okay.
was injured. Then Saurabh got injured, and then Ishan came in. But
Right.
yeah, so but Ishan again. I mean, I'm just going to take it up from here. See, for me, Ishan under 19 was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. I think 2016 or
Yeah.
2016 batch,
Seven,
if I'm wrong.
16, 17. Yeah. Right.
16, 17 batch. Same with Rishabh, same batch, right?
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, I saw him in Sayyid Mushtaq Ali last year, Mallapadu, and
Yeah.
I mean, you can actually see he did not get too many runs. He did not get 100 and all that. He got, I think, one score of 50 or 20s and 30s. But the 15-20 balls that he faced, you could see the difference. You could see the difference between him and the others. Others might have
Right.
scored more runs, but you could see the difference in class. But this season, it's a different ball game. And I think I was speaking to him in one of the post-match interviews or pre-match interviews, and he said he's consciously trying to play through the offside a lot more. He
Right.
doesn't want to be very one-sided, slog sweep, mid-wicket, mid-on kind of a player. He wants to be 360 degrees. He wants to be focusing more on the offside, and you could see the difference straight away.
Absolutely. And the way he played this season, it looks like. Do you think that he's like properly cut right out for T20 cricket, or do you think he can play the longer formats as well?
I think he should be able to. I think he should be able to because he plays first-class cricket. It's not that he does not.
Right.
Uh, and listen, even modern day red ball cricket has also evolved. It's also changed. It's not like what it used to be 5 7 years ago.
Right.
Now, you're looking at 100 scored at 130, 140 deliveries, not at 200 deliveries, right?
Right.
So I don't see any reason why he can't be.
Right. Speaking about like taking that topic forward again, I would like to talk about this one particular youngster. Obviously, not a lot of people want him to be on this list, but I feel he's really, really special, and I wanted to ask you about it. I have been thinking and talking about Abdul Samad a lot. He obviously didn't have a lot of great performances there,
Yeah.
but I think the one that the Hyderabad lost to Delhi, the second
Yeah.
qualifier, the way that he batted there, and even the first game that he played, he showed us what power he has.
See, he's a powerful striker, and please remember that that is a position that India lacks, right?
Right,
Power hitters, right? You have Hardik. Apart from Hardik, I can't think of too many power hitters. So if you have someone like him, and he also bowls a bit, I'm not saying he'll give you 4 overs every game,
right.
but he's good enough for a couple of overs every game, right? And if that's what you're getting, and he can bat at number 6, 2 overs, and that kind of hitting. I mean, that's someone you need to invest for the future. No two ways about it.
Exactly, because Rabada is bowling, even let's say that was a full toss, but he was bowling at 145,
Yeah,
146
even
and
the
smashing
bouncer
it
there.
out.
I think the
Exactly.
second or third ball was a bouncer there.
Right, right. So smashing a full toss and a bounce off Rabada for a six, it's not an easy. So I really wanted to have a special mention for
Yeah, yeah,
Abdul
absolutely.
Samad there. And there's like three other cricketers that we cannot discuss. We cannot call them youngsters, but they're fairly new and they are uncapped. But these
Yeah,
three cricketers, a fantastic trio, great performances. I want to talk about the first is T. Natarajan. The second is Varun Chakravarthy. Let's keep the third one for the last. Let's save him for the last.
yeah,
But these two guys, obviously, Varun Chakravarthy is now injured, not going to be able to play
yeah.
for India. Natarajan is replacing him. So before they came into this tournament, do you actually think that they would have had the slightest of ideas kaisa hone wala hai?
No, I'll be very honest. Natarajan's had a decent uh, season with Tamil Nadu last season.
Right.
Nothing special. Uh, Even the first couple of games was ordinary. Then I remember there was this one game where SRH had scored only 150 or 160. They were
Right.
defending against, I don't know who it was, a very underpass score. And he came and started bowling. I think he was bowling his third over in the middle overs, or was it his second?
It was Delhi, if I'm not wrong. He was bowling to Marcus Stoinis, if I remember
I
right.
guess so. And he started bowling those Yorkers, and I was sitting there with Ajit, and we were like, wow, this kid can bowl. And then he hasn't looked back. I mean, he's bowled the most number of Yorkers. I'm sure even percentage wise, he must have got them really high,
Absolutely.
and also difficult overs. It's not easy when you're bowling to someone like Pollard, Stoinis, and all these. We are talking about top international players here, people who close down games, and going through unscathed against them. I mean, says highly of his temperament and his skill set.
एब्सोल्युटली और हैदराबाद के सोशल मीडिया ने एक वीडियो भी रिलीज किया हुआ था टॉकिंग अबाउट हाउ ही स्टार्टेड मास्टरिंग द आर्ट ऑफ बॉलिंग अ यॉर्कर तब नटराजन ने ये बोला था कि आई एक्चुअली कांट बोल अ यॉर्कर देयर इज नो बैट्समैन देयर वहां पे
Yeah,
तुम किसी को भी खड़ा कर दो मैं आके बॉलिंग कर सकता हूं आई कैन बोल हाउ मेनी एवर यॉर्कर्स ऐसा एक माइंडसेट लेकर आना एंड टू बोल दैट बॉल व्हिच इज स्टिल कंसीडर्ड वन ऑफ द मोस्ट डिफिकल्ट बॉल्स टू bowl and bowled so many of them to probably world's greatest finishers, world's greatest batsmen at the death.
yeah.
Uh, like you said, speaks a lot about him.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, the temperament, it's not easy. there is one thing कि आपने प्रैक्टिस में आपने खूब यॉर्कर डाले हैं, और जब मैच में अंडर प्रेशर आपको डालना होता है, जब आपको पता है कि भैया 2 ओवर में 25 रन चाहिए, और अगला वाला ओवर जो थोड़ा सा हल्का है, आई एम द
हाँ,
मेन बॉलर, एंड माइंड यू ही आल्सो टुक ओवर एज द लीडर ऑफ द पैक.
एग्जैक्टली,
राहुल के अलावा व्हेन भुवनेश्वर गॉट इंजर्ड,
राइट,
and then the other senior bowlers weren't really performing that well. I mean, he was the main bowler, the main go-to bowler. I mean, so that is not a chota mota responsibility here. So I think was absolutely brilliant, and I'm
and
glad
how
he's he deserves to be there in Australia right now.
that was going to be my question, so you answered before that. I'm going to quickly move on and talk about Varun Chakravarthy, the unlucky fellow, I should say, because उन्हीं को replace करते हुए टी नटराजन आ गए हैं, but he was also a great performer this time around.
Again, another performer who I really did not think would be as good as this. Because again he bowled those difficult overs, and he took over from someone like Sunil Narayan.
Sunil
I mean,
Narayan,
Sunil
right,
Narayan, after his issues with his action again, having to remodel and all, he took over as the number one spinner. Mind you, there's Sunil Narayan, there is a senior pro in Kuldeep Yadav. He was the third spinner
right.
starting of the tournament, and by the time the tournament finished, he was the number one spinner.
एग्जैक्टली exactly. और वरुण चक्रवर्ती की बात करेंगे तो फिर उनका जो प्राइस टैग था पिछले साल में, इट वाज अ बिग वन, बहुत बड़ा था. कहीं ना कहीं पीपल वर वेरी शॉक्ड एंड सरप्राइज्ड कि यार एक अनकैप्ड बंदा है जिसके बारे में किसी ने ज्यादा सुना नहीं है, व्हाई इज ही गेटिंग सच अ बिग
No, but this
अमाउंट.
this wasn't the first time. इसके पहले भी, I think it was Kings 11 who paid a lot of money for him.
या
I think
या
3 साल पहले, 2 साल पहले.
राइट,
So yeah, I mean, the people had an idea क्या करता है, क्या कर सकता है. It's just that the one over, I think he's before this season he had only bowled one over for Kings 11, and he got for what, 20 runs or 22 runs or
राइट,
whatever he went for.
राइट,
Right. So to come back from that kind of a debut game, somebody who's not from the system, he is not someone who's come through the system, 16, 19, Ranji Trophy and all. He's
राइट,
kind of, you can say, outside the system. To come
राइट,
and perform like that under pressure, and also as you mentioned, that financial pressure is big. That price tag can be a lot of pressure for some people, and we've seen that in the
एग्जैक्टली.
past. To
जो
handle all,
सिस्टम के थ्रू आते हैं उन्हीं को प्राइस टैग का प्रेशर इतना हो जाता है, बंदा सिस्टम के थ्रू नहीं आया हुआ है तो ऑब्वियसली वी कैन इमेजिन व्हाट इट कैन बी.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. तो उस नजरिए
और
से मतलब the way he's performed, fantastic.
और आखिर में हम बात करेंगे सूर्य कुमार यादव के बारे में. दिस वन जेंटलमैन, एक गेम खत्म करने के बाद देयर वाज स्मॉल पिकल देयर, टीम थोड़ा सा लुक लाइक दे वर इन अ सॉर्ट ऑफ बॉदर, बट
Yeah,
गेम जैसे चेस करके खत्म कर दिया था. जस्ट ही जस्ट लुक्ड आउट द ड्रेसिंग रूम एंड ही सेड मैं हूं बॉस.
this is like a purple patch. Yeah, this is like a proper purple patch. I mean, the way he's playing fast bowler, देखो spin वो हमेशा अच्छा खेलता था. He's
जी,
always been one of the better batsmen in India. और in India अगर आप कहते हो better batsman of spin, मतलब आप सोच लो world में किसी भी spinner को आराम से
एग्जैक्टली,
खेल सकते हैं, right? But the way he handled the fast bowlers, and again fast bowlers, mind you, इस साल the pitch, the conditions were friendly, right?
राइट,
Fast bowler friendly or pacer friendly. The
राइट,
way he handled situations, the opposition coming at three, and again, MI के लिए खेलना is a different ball game. हाँ? MI के लिए आप जब आप खेलते हो तब अलग pressure होता है, क्योंकि you are expected to win. I mean,
एग्जैक्टली.
winning is not a big thing. You're supposed to win, right? It's not a big thing. तो वहाँ पे 3 नंबर खेलना and to win games on his own, phenomenal. And again, he's not a youngster. I think we've been talking about him for last 1 year. I think there was a lot of chat of him being part of the Indian T20 for last 1 year at least.
राइट, या
Um, but yeah, unfortunately, still not there.
आपको जिससे अनफॉर्चुनेटली, बट लाइक हाउ बैड डू यू फील फॉर सूर्य कुमार यादव बिकॉज ऑफ द अमाउंट ऑफ परफॉर्मेंसेस दिस ही इज पुट इन. बंदा और क्या कर सकता है आगे जाके.
See, देखो दो दो नजरिए हैं इसका. From obviously from Surya Kumar Yadav's perspective, definitely, definitely. I think the best part was selection के बाद अगले दिन आता है, he scores a 70-80 not out, wins the game
Exactly.
for MI, कहता है मैं हूँ and all that, which is, I mean, again, that was I thought was absolutely brilliant. That moment was
So
superb.
special, yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing, अगर आप ये कहो कि यार वो किसकी जगह आया है या कौन एक ऐसा प्लेयर जिसको हटा के उसको डाल सकते हो, देन ऑल्सो यू विल से कि नहीं यार ऐसा कोई नहीं है जिसके जगह पे वो आ सकता है। तो इसलिए माई पॉइंट बीइंग दिस इज, यार जब इतने लोग जा रहे हैं, टेक अनदर वन, जहाँ पे 15 लोग हैं 16 कर दो यार, टेक 16,
Right.
because you also need to encourage performance at times, you have to encourage performance.
Absolutely, that's so true. मतलब अगर ऐसे लेकर जाएंगे, so you never know, there might be an injury or something, and he might be able to be a part of the squad. He can
Yeah,
just play from game number one if that
yeah,
is the case. So, like you, so many of us are expecting to see Surya Kumar Yadav there. And speaking about Surya Kumar Yadav, you just mentioned कि मुंबई का जो एटमॉस्फेयर होता है, उनका खेलना कुछ अलग ही होता है, उनके लिए खेलना. Rohit Sharma's captaincy, Mumbai's streak of success. Kyron Pollard's captaincy, I will not take that away from Kyron Pollard even 1%.
yeah,
इन सारी चीजों को रखते हुए every single player contributing for that franchise. Honestly speaking, जब auction हुआ था, and when I saw that Mumbai did not have a lot of spinners, फिर UAE में चला गया था the tournament, तब मेरे को लगा था कि यार UAE is known to be spin friendly, और इनके पास राहुल चाहर है and the likes of Jayant Yadav और कृणाल पांडे obviously will bowl his left armers. इसके अलावा इनके पास spin regiment ऐसा जैसा नहीं है. और चेन्नई के पास देखो, बाकी there are a lot of other teams, they have good
yeah,
spinners in their
yeah,
squads. तो मेरे दिमाग में एक बहुत बड़ा एक डर आ गया था कि भाई ये क्या होने वाला है इस सीजन मुंबई का. But like you said before, there were fast bowler friendly pitches there. लेकिन how did they, even before the season start, how did they anticipate that कि ऐसा कुछ होने वाला है? And even when they had the option of replacing Lasith Malinga, they went for a James Pattinson and not for a spinner.
yeah.
ये फंडा क्या है मुंबई के बीच में?
See, जो Mumbai, the reason they're successful, it's not a coincidence, it's hard work.
Absolutely, that's so true.
है ना? So ये जैसे आपने कहा, obviously there's a lot of homework which happens. They have a very good group of scouts which 24/7 are involved with it. This is their job. 12 months a year is going around watching cricket, youngsters कौन आ रहा है, keeping track of them, following their own players. कोई भी player injured होता है, for example जब हार्दिक injured हुआ था, it was the MI thing who was looking after them.
Right.
तो वो फिर जब यहाँ पे जब अनाउंस होने वाला था कि हो सकता है, they already had started practicing. They were practicing in Mumbai. उन्होंने जो नया फैसिलिटी बनाया, which is state of the art facilities, one of the best you will see. फिर वहाँ पे बारिश शुरू हो गया तो they had a canopy. They were practicing indoors, kind of a canopy kind of a thing. So again, it's not a coincidence. They've been working really hard behind the scenes. आज जो दिख रहा है हमें, it is all the hard work that has gone behind, starting from the players to the scouts to the coaches to the management, people involved with the team. So this is a success for everyone. It's obviously वो 11 जन ही खेलेंगे, in fact 13-14 जन जो खेले वो,
Right.
but this is actually a success for the whole franchisee, as a franchisee as a whole.
और मुंबई की बात करेंगे, फ्रेंचाइजी की बात करेंगे, तो वी विल हैव टू स्पीक अबाउट द कैप्टन्स. रोहित शर्मा, अ वेरी डिबेटेबल क्वेश्चन मैं इसके बाद, ये सेगमेंट के बाद आपको पूछने वाला हूं. But before that, just your quick thoughts on Rohit Sharma's captaincy. And when he was not there, Kyron Pollard coming in and taking over, but both of these things not affecting the other 10 players. How is that even possible? क्योंकि आपने भी मेरे को एक बार बोला है कि कैप्टन बदलते हैं तो फिर सिस्टम में चेंज आ जाता है, देयर इज अ डिफरेंट सेटअप, देयर माइंडसेट बदलता है, बट दैट वाज नॉट शोन एट ऑल. ये कैसे होता है?
Because जो वो टीम है ना, वो आप ये देखो कि कितने सालों से एक साथ खेल रही है. Who was the captain? So since 2013 it has been Rohit.
रोहित.
There has been consistency. इस टूर्नामेंट में भी अगर आप देखें तो 2 चेंजेस ही हुए हैं, और वो दोनों चेंजेस जो हुए हैं वो फोर्स चेंजेस हुए हैं.
राइट, राइट.
है ना, कि कोई इंजर्ड हुआ है, पैटिंसन इंजर्ड हो गया है, उसको ब्रेक चाहिए तो नेथन कुल्टरनाइन को लेके आए. फिर उधर से इंजर्ड कोई हो गया, ईशान हो गया तो सौरभ आ गया, सौरभ हो गया तो ईशान आ गया, रोहित हुआ तो दोनों खेल गए. सो दे एक्चुअली हैव नॉट मेड चेंजेस, सो दे वर वेरी कंसिस्टेंट. और ये जो टीम अगर आप देखें तो साथ में पिछले 5-6 साल से खेल रहे हैं. नए जो आए हैं, क्विंटन डीकॉक आया है 2 साल पहले, सूर्या 2 साल पहले आया है. So then there is a philosophy that they follow, and everyone is aware of that philosophy. Pollard जो स्टैंड इन कैप्टन थे, वो भी पिछले 8 साल से टीम के साथ हैं, 10 साल से टीम के साथ हैं. तो उनको भी पता है कि फिलॉसफी क्या है, और उनको ये भी पता है वो स्टैंड इन है. तो अगर वो कुछ अलग भी करना चाहते हैं तो उतना कुछ अलग नहीं करेंगे, कि उनको भी पता है कि यार 2 मैच 3 मैच के लिए मैं हूँ, रोहित आ जाएगा, सो देयर इज नो पॉइंट चेंजिंग द बेसिक फिलॉसफी.
राइट.
एंड ऑब्वियसली पोलार्ड इतने साल खेला तो ही नोज व्हाट रोहित्स फिलॉसफी इज, ही अंडरस्टैंड्स दैट, सबको पता है. सो they weren't pulled out of their comfort zones even though there was a change in captaincy.
राइट. और जो द डिबेटेबल क्वेश्चन दैट आई वाज गोइंग टू आस्क यू इज, क्या आपको लगता है रोहित शर्मा शुड टेक ओवर एज इंडियाज व्हाइट बॉल कैप्टन, बिकॉज हिज रिकॉर्ड as a white ball skipper internationally has been sensational. 79%, 80% win record है उनका, win percentage है ODIs और T20Is में.
True.
आपको क्या लगता है? Do you think Virat Kohli is a better white ball captain? Because I don't want to base it just on the IPL captaincy records. I really
Yeah.
want to
Fair enough.
pick your brain
No,
for that.
see, my point is it's difficult to say who's a better captain, right? Because captain क्या होता है कि एक होता है कि आप एक स्टैंड इन कैप्टन हो, आप एक सीरीज के लिए कैप्टनसी करें तो आपको थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया होता है. एंड ऑब्वियसली रोहित इज अ वेरी गुड कैप्टन विदाउट अ शैडो ऑफ डाउट. वी आई मीन जब भी एज यू mentioned either
Right.
it's international cricket or MI or Mumbai, whatever it is, he's been fabulous wherever he's led. And
Right.
Virat again, and listen, there'll be ups and downs. अगर आप 5 साल कप्तानी करोगे तो उसमें अच्छे वक्त भी आएंगे, बुरे वक्त भी आएंगे,
Right.
right?
True.
So वो विराट के साथ है. So my point is both. I don't find, yes, obviously वो क्वेश्चन आता है, especially if you look at India not winning ICC trophies since 2013, haven't won a knockout game in an ICC trophy since 2013.
Right.
So yeah, I mean questions will be asked, but I think it's not a very simple answer. It can't be a yes or a no, A or B. I
Right.
don't think it's as black and white as that.
Right. Or Rohit Sharma, as a batsman, he's not performed as such over the last few years. उनका performances कम रहा है, but he still got the results out of the team.
Yeah.
Captaincy क्या उनके ऊपर थोड़ा सा भारी पड़ रहा है आपके हिसाब से, as a batsman,
I,
just in the IPL?
yeah, I don't think so. I think, listen, it was always difficult for कि इतने दिन बाद आना खेलना, and especially at the top 6 में, because you have to also take chances, है ना.
Right.
आप वो 20 के ओवर में नहीं कि आप स्ट्राइक रोटेट करके 10 बॉल खेल के निकाल दो. आप ऊपर जाते हो तो आपको थोड़ा सा चांस लेना पड़ता है. और अगर आप देखोगे तो ऐसा नहीं कि he has not scored 700 runs 600 runs, but he scored 80, मेगा से 280 या 350 हैं इस साल in this season.
Yeah, there's
So
170, there's 180, and the 168.
yeah, so 3 scores of 50, which is all right. And he's got stats, and the way he got out, I mean, first 6 games में I think 4 times he got out to a spinner trying to hit him over the
Right.
infield.
Right. Right.
2 बार मेगा से स्लॉग स्वीप मारते हुए आउट हुए हैं, एक बार मिड ऑफ के ऊपर से. So it is not that he wasn't batting well, it's just that एक चांस ले रहे थे उसी पे आउट हो गए.
Right.
Or maybe that particular shot wasn't the right shot,
Right.
but he batted all right. Yes, I mean, if you're saying he should have scored more runs, yeah, I mean, you always expect someone like Rohit to score all the time.
Exactly.
Every game he steps out, you want him to score runs.
Right. मुंबई के फैन होने की वजह से आई ऑब्वियसली विल हैव दैट एक्सपेक्टेशन, बिकॉज देखते आए हुए हैं कि इंडिया के लिए क्या कर रहे हैं रोहित शर्मा, तो इट्स ओनली फेयर ऑन माय पार्ट एज अ
Yeah.
विद दैट.
Listen, that's how high he set the bar for himself. That's how
Right.
good he has been.
Absolutely. Or with that being said, I would like to quickly ask you to make your 11 of this year, because this has been one of the most consistent years for so many cricketers.
Yes.
To pick players from them, I know it's a very hard task, but I'm going to give it to you.
Again, obviously, going to follow that 4 overseas rule, and that's where the trouble starts. And again, I mean, it's been a year where fast bowlers have done well. And when I
Exactly.
look at my options, okay, I mean, I mean, obviously, I know I can't pick both Jofra and Rabada. I'll have to pick one of them because obviously Bumrah is going to be the other one. Can't drop
Right.
Rashid. I mean, he's a match winner. So it
Absolutely.
becomes very, very tough. And as you mentioned, there's been quite a few, performances.
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to try and do this. KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal,
Okay.
Surya, AB de Villiers, Butler,
Okay.
Hardik, Rashid, Jofra, UZ Chahal, Bumrah, and Natarajan. I know the batting is a little light, but I would expect the top 5-6 to to do the job for
Couldn't
me.
agree. I'm
Yeah.
just going to quickly ask you one question there. I can think of two players that can potentially replace the likes of a Joss Butler. Could you just share your thoughts behind them?
Go on.
Quinton de Kock and Kyron Pollard. Pollard as a finisher and de Kock as an opener, because de Kock can obviously keep as well.
No, I mean, yeah. So Butler for me, I think he's versatile. He can open. He can finish off games. I mean, I don't see anyone who in almost in world cricket. I don't see
Right,
too many who play spin as well as Butler does.
right. That's true.
Uh, so and yeah, I mean, again, he might not have scored as much as Quinton de Kock, but if I had to not pick Butler, then I think Pollard would be close, coming at number 5, 6,
Right.
and also might be a sixth bowling option. Uh,
Exactly.
because the bowlers that I've picked, they can't bat. That's the problem. I mean, Jofra
Except
can
for
hit a
Jofra.
few. Yeah, Jofra can hit a few.
Right.
Rashid can hit a few, but you know, so that's the trouble. Ideally speaking, you would want someone like a maybe a Chris Morris or a Ben Stokes at
Right.
number 6,
Right.
or Ben Stokes top of the order, and then you can elongate the batting a little more. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Well, it is. I know it's been very difficult for you to make this 11.
Yeah.
Like I said before, there have been so many performances to pick from. But another difficult question is I'm going to follow it up with is who is going to be your captain of this side?
Oh, good one. I'm gonna go with Kale.
Okay. Because now he's obviously going to vice captain India in
Vice
the.
captain India, and I just have a feeling. I mean, I did not agree with a lot of calls that he took. I disagreed with quite a bit of
Right.
them, like
Right.
Krishna Pagautam bowling the 20th, or uh, but I kind
Not
of
not to people like Pollard and Hardik Pandya.
obviously not, obviously not. So, but yeah, I mean, I still think. I mean, I I like the way he led the side. I like the way he led the side.
Yeah, the 5 wins on the trot. Chris Gale coming
Yeah,
in. That's absolutely sensational from KL.
phenomenal.
Absolutely. So that's a really good 11. Thank you so much for doing that. With that being said, I'm going to quickly move on to the back end of the show, and I'm going to ask you a few questions that are very special fans have asked us. And the first one is, how did Hyderabad make it to the playoffs even after their injury concerns? Mitchell Marsh and Bhuvi not being a part. Varun has asked this question. So
Uh,
what's going to be a reply to
it,
Varun?
it, it, it was always going to be difficult, even with all of them around. I'll be very honest. If you look at that SRH side, you'd see a good mid-table if they play very well that come to fourth. After injuries, you're like, and there was one point in time when it was CSK was already out, and you were thinking, okay, maybe SRH will be the other team going out. But that's what SRH does every year. They punch above their weight. Every year they manage to punch above their weight. And again, a team which is shown over and over again, it's not about individual brilliance. Yes, there are brilliant individuals there, but it is not about individual brilliance.
Right.
As a team, they are good enough to beat anyone. And also,
Absolutely.
again, like CSK, unfortunately, CSK had lost far too many games in the first half. Second half, the moment the pitches became a little more tired and the games came down from 180 to 160, you could see the difference. You could see CSK winning games, you could see SRH winning games. So again, SRH again a team where they're a very 160 kind of a team. They have to chase
Right.
anything above more than that. Then I mean, a lot of it
There
boils
was
down to Warner and how what he does right at
exactly,
the top.
and even in that run chase, we saw that. Except for
Yeah,
Kane Williamson and Abdul Samad there, if
yeah,
Williams had maybe stuck around, he would have done it for them. But
yeah. And again,
there was a
Williams.
bigger total. Yeah.
No. I mean, I'm a big SRH fan, also because of the fact that two players from Bengal play in that.
Absolutely.
So,
So, Ridhiman
so
Saha के बारे में बात करना ही पड़ेगा. If you've
yeah,
mentioned that he
yeah,
was
yeah.
promoted to be an opener there, और क्या पाया
Listen,
है
I've,
अभी.
I've always believed this. I don't know why. Somebody who's got 100 in an IPL final,
Right.
even though he batted at 4, how can you not? How can you not make him bat in the top order? I mean, I understand when you have base 2 and 1, it's always going to be
Right.
difficult. It is always going to be difficult because you got two top T20 international batsmen.
Right.
I mean, just the call to kind of rest base 2 and play Williamson, huge call.
It's usually Williamson who takes the beating for any other overseas player coming in. But this time around, I think it's a good lesson learned from Hyderabad to use Ruddhiman Saha as an opener for the next season if he's still a part of that
I
team.
think so. I think so. I think they've a lot of teams have found out their combination in the last 4 5 games, which includes SRH as well. Kings 11, SRH, CSK. I mean, they were. If you look at the last 4 5 games, they were a lot more comfortable with their playing
Right.
11. They were thereabouts with the best playing 11.
It's only fair to say that, because of not playing cricket for a long time and not being with the teams for a long time with all those players, it did take some time to gel in and all of that stuff. But let's also not forget कि अगले साल शायद से IPL इंडिया में हो सकता है. So will these combinations work or not? We'll only have to wait and watch. And आगे बढ़ेंगे अगले फैन सवाल पर जाएंगे. Why did Delhi have a season of two halves with their performances poles apart in both? प्रदीप ने पूछा है आपको ये सवाल.
ओके, नाउ दिल्ली का अगर आप देखें प्रदीप जी, तो पहले हाफ में भी जो मैचेस जीत रहे थे वो प्रिडोमिनेंटली बिकॉज ऑफ देयर बॉलिंग अटैक.
Right.
एंड स्टॉइनिस और वन ऑफ देम वुड परफॉर्म, राइट.
Right.
एक बंदा आके कर जाता था. तो ऐसा नहीं था कि मुंबई इंडियंस वर डिफरेंट. मुंबई इंडियंस एवरीवन कोई भी होता, मेरे ख्याल से 14 मैचेस में से मेरे ख्याल से व्हाटएवर द 10 मैचेस दैट दे वॉन,
Right.
they had 7 or 8 different man of the match guys, right?
Exactly.
So they have 8 different guys performing. But if you look at the first half, जहाँ पे अच्छा चल रहा था, it was the bowling unit. It was Nokia Rabada doing well. Ashwin,
Patel was there.
then Akshar Patel did very well, right through. So it was a bowling attack. Batting में it was predominantly पहले 6 मैच में it was एक मैच में श्रेयस ने किया, एक
Prithvi
में
Shaw was there.
किया, और स्टॉइनिस 2 3 मैच जितवाया पीछे जाके 4 5.
Right.
Sorry. So it wasn't that they were playing a comprehensive brand of cricket, which maybe MI was playing. So yeah, so I wasn't surprised क्योंकि फिर बैटिंग में स्टॉइनिस रन बनाना बंद कर दिया. Prithvi started playing some. I mean, I don't know. I mean, why he plays the way he does with somebody who's so talented, so gifted.
Right. Right.
The bowlers, 3 match bowlers had a bad game. Rabada went for a few. Nokia went for a few. Ashwin went for 40 plus in 2 back-to-back games.
Right. Right.
So suddenly the basic strength, which was their bowling, that stopped firing.
Right.
And then IPL में क्या होता है ना, momentum can be both positive and negative. Once you start
Right.
losing 2 3 मैच ना, then you get in that mindset कि यार जीतेंगे या हारेंगे. मतलब there is this doubt in your head, and that can be very difficult.
और मेरे हिसाब से there was a case with Bangalore as well क्योंकि 4 मैच on the trot वो हार गए थे और फिर they had to play that eliminator कैसे भी करके
Yeah.
they qualified and I think it was a very similar result
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Bangalore.
I mean, Bangalore for me, I think was the most disappointed team because I thought the kind of team that Bangalore had this year, the bowlers, the batsmen, and especially with Finch coming in, and I knew Padikkal will have a good year. That was, I'm sure, but I did not expect Padikkal to have such a good year. But I knew that Padikkal will have a good year. With Padikkal, Finch, then Chris Morris, and Shiraz and Saini, both more
Right.
matured now.
Right. Right.
This was their era, and also the kind of services that they were playing on in UAE. Helping the faster bowlers. You're away from Chinnaswamy. Pro bowler friendly.
वहां पे भी युजवेंद्र चहल ने अच्छे प्रदर्शन करके दे दिया हमारे लिए.
I mean,
Absolutely.
UZ star है, हर जगह star है वो.
Absolutely. And also Virat Kohli के ऊपर बहुत बड़ा चर्चा हो रहा था. I'm kind of drifting away from topic, but now that we've brought it up, Bangalore के बारे में, तो I have to ask you this. Virat Kohli didn't have the greatest of starts. 3 4 मैच उनके flop हुए थे. But he still ended up scoring around 400 500 runs. और सुनील गावस्कर सर ने पहले ही बोल दिया था कि उनको अभी राइट ऑफ मत करो. सीजन के खत्म पे देखो, he would have scored around 400 500 runs.
Yeah. See that
Magic that he reached.
For example, रोहित का भी हम जो कह रहे हैं, रोहित ने भी 400 प्लस रन बनाया. The idea is कि impact. You want these players to have an impact on the game. It's not about scoring.
Is it the burden of performance pressure जो हम as fans उनके ऊपर डालते हैं?
नहीं, I don't think so. I think इतने सालों से वो खेल रहे हैं at that level and been so successful at that level. I think they know how to take expectations. I think that's I'm sure they're experienced enough to handle that. Lekin, I mean, yeah, I mean, Virat again had a what 450 run season, which is no stretch of imagination a bad year. लेकिन my point is impact.
Right.
जैसे एबीडी ने भी शायद उतने ही रन बनाए होंगे जितना
हाँ हाँ
विराट ने बनाए. आई डोंट थिंक एबीडी ने बहुत ज्यादा रन बनाए, लेकिन उसमें से दो ऐसे इम्पैक्टफुल इनिंग्स खेल के जहां पे मैच जिता के चलेगा अकेले. So you
right
remember he had a great year, but it's not that he scored 600 runs. He must have
right
also scored 455, 500 runs. But
right.
impact जो है, I think that is very very important.
Absolutely. Well, that's a very good answer. अगले सवाल की तरफ बढ़ेंगे एंड सचिन करके एक शख्स ने पूछा ये सवाल. He says young Indian batsmen are coming up with an aggressive approach. Is that the right path for Indian cricket's future? ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल
Yeah,
है.
yeah. I mean, definitely yes. But you know, एक कहावत है ना कि जोश में होश ना खोना. That is
Right.
also important. So you need all that aggression, but you also have to channelize that aggression. Make sure that's channeled properly. Aggression is important. I mean, anyone and everyone who's been successful is aggressive. But
Right.
it's a different way of expressing it. Some express it more openly, some internalize it. But aggression is very, very important, and that is something that is yes. I mean, more Indian youngsters and Indian cricketers or youngsters are are more expressive about it, and also confidence levels. When you're
Right.
talking about, let's just purely talk about batting now. Let's say one of the most audacious shots that I've seen was Padikkal hitting Pattinson for a six over long
Oh,
off his back foot. Went to his back foot, punched it over long off for a six. I mean, Pattinson, hello. I mean, he's a top international bowler, and here he comes, Padikkal, who's playing his first proper IPL. I mean, that just tells you the level of confidence that these youngsters have. I mean, Rituraj Gaikwad, those shots. I mean, extra cover, के ऊपर से, long off के ऊपर से. Oh, unbelievable shots.
he's
I mean,
also a really
unbelievable.
good player of spin.
Imagine, we were talking about Natarajan bowling Yorkers in the 19th over, 20th over, under pressure against the top finishers in the sport. I mean, you've got to be aggressive and confidence.
It speaks a lot, speaks
Yeah,
volumes about the character that is being built, not just
yeah,
सिटी लेवल पे नहीं, इवन अंदर विलेजेस के अंदर
yeah.
जहाँ रॉ टैलेंट है वहां पे भी ऐसी सारी चीजें हो रही है. दैट्स फैंटास्टिक टू वॉच. लेकिन ऐसे अग्रेसिव परफॉर्मेंसेस के वजह से देयर आर अ फ्यू पीपल दैट आर वेरी अनहैप्पी और दे आर द सिलेक्टर्स. क्योंकि इनके वजह से यार देयर वाज अ पॉइंट इन टाइम वेयर यू न्यू कि चाहे कुछ भी हो जाए इन सारे खिलाड़ियों को हमको चुनना ही है. लेकिन अब ऐसा है ही नहीं सिचुएशन. देयर आर सो मेनी प्लेयर्स टू पिक फ्रॉम. हाउ मच ऑफ अ हेडेक इज दिस गोइंग टू बी गोइंग इनटू द फ्यूचर?
It's a good headache. It's a very good headache. But the next thing is you have to again ये आपने filter कर लिया है, but इसके आगे भी आपको filter करना पड़ेगा. You have to groom, you have to mentor the right talent, you have to promote the right talent, give them more exposure. We are talking about white ball cricket. इसके बाद red ball भी है. I mean, listen, you follow cricket, yeah, you know the next lot of spinners. I mean, you've got to really mentor the next lot of spinners, at
Right,
least in red cricket.
right.
Even same with wicket keepers. White ball ठीक है, but red ball after say Riddiman, you're still looking for someone to take that place, right?
Right.
So yeah, it's not that it's not that easy.
Perfect. Fantastic. Thank you so much for answering all these questions. We just have
But
one guest here who wants to
okay,
ask you a question, and I have Puneet Tripathi here with me. If we could just quickly have him in. Yeah, Puneet is here. Thank you, Puneet, for joining us. If you could just quickly ask your question. Where are you
Uh,
from?
I'm from Kolkata. I'm from his city.
Wow,
oh,
wow.
neat. Nice.
Hi Deepda. প্রথমে শুভ বিজয় and কালী পুজোর শুভেচ্ছা. And I want to
Okay.
ask you, with cricket moving at such a fast pace, what happens to fast bowlers, or in fact medium fast bowlers? Maybe not in the category of Rabada and Jofra and
Mhm.
Bumrah, but someone in the category of 130 to 140 or 125 to 135. That category. What happens to them?
See, 130 to 135, 137. If you can, if you have the ability to move, let's just be very very categorical about it. If you have the
Mm-hmm.
ability to move,
Okay.
then it becomes a different ball game. Okay, look at Sandeep Sharma. Right, he would bowl at 118, 122, 124, but he has the ability to move. because that boils down to how batsmen nowadays prepare themselves. If you look at batsmen nowadays, they are not really troubled by pace anymore because you're practicing against the side armor, against the bowling machine where you can crank it up. So
Mhm.
pace used to be an issue, but not
Yes.
anymore. But
Okay.
across the world with batsmen now, if the ball starts moving around or spinning, either way, then it's more of a trouble. So even at 125, 130, if you have that ability to swing the ball, Deepak Chahar,
Mm-hmm.
Bhuvneshwar for a long period of time in his career, they were all 132, 135 kind of a bowler, but they have the ability to swing. And once you have that, then you can survive. That's for sure. But having said that, at international level, you still want to get up to that 130, mid 30s, early 30s at least. Less than 130 at international level can be a little bit of a problem.
But I would still like to point to that bowlers like Pat Cummins, who's really a great Test bowler, and Josh Hazelwood,
Yeah,
James Anderson isn't playing short form cricket.
yeah.
What happens to them when they come to subcontinent pitches? Just let's just take in context that next year's IPL will be in India, or in fact in the UAE. They weren't really effective. What happens to them?
See, for example, someone like Rabada will not have too much of an issue.
Of course, of
Even
course.
Bumrah does. I mean, let's leave aside the subcontinental bowlers.
Yeah. Hmm.
Let's focus on the overseas. Someone like Cummins and all. See, Cummins' biggest strength is his discipline with line and length. Hazelwood, Cummins, Rabada. So I don't think, yes, they might not be picking up 24, 25 wickets. They might be still be picking up 16, 17 because most of them also bowl in the death. I mean,
Hmm.
I I think Rabada's only picked one wicket in the power play, so everything else is in the middle or the end. Uh,
Yes.
right. So someone like Jofra might have an issue because again he's the other way around. Most of his wickets were,
Hmm. In the power plays.
pace, bounce, all that. Obviously, we'll not get that here. So I don't see again. For example, this year the top five wicket takers. I think there were three seamers or four seamers, right? I think
Hmm.
Rashid came in late.
Late.
He also was there. But I don't. I see it's the other way around. If it happens in India, it'll be three spinners and maybe two seamers, and that two
Seamers.
seamers will be in the death.
Hmm. So how do they find their way? Like,
Uh,
is there a
the,
go-to
the
plan?
skill set is different. Then suddenly your skill set will be more slower deliveries, picking the right time to bowl the slower deliveries, the Yorkers, change of pace and all that. I think that those become more important. Uh,
Okay.
because here on these helpful surfaces, your test length will be fine. But when you're bowling test length in India, or
Mm-hmm.
subcontinent, that becomes a little bit of an issue, especially after the first six. But in UAE, you got away with those test lengths. I think
Yes.
those
Yes.
will be a big challenge when you're
Mm.
playing in the subcontinent.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So
Thank you
basically,
so
you
much.
mean to say they just have to go to Dwayne Bravo's book?
Exactly.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you
Lot of
so much.
slowers and Yorkers and all that stuff. Yeah,
Mm. Thank you.
Thank you, Puneet, for joining us. It was
Thank you,
great having
Adarsh.
you on. Thank you.
It
Thank
was
you.
great.
Well, thank you so much for answering all our questions. It was so good to have
right.
you. I can actually see that we are way over time, but it was just so fun. It was fun chatting with you about cricket, and I obviously can talk a lot more about this. But thank you
Uh,
so much for coming in and
no,
talking
pleasure's
for
mine.
giving us your
Pleasure.
11, which was a very difficult one to do. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you. So.